Okay, the recording has started and a transcription is being taken of the lesson. So welcome this morning. Thank you so much for joining us for Open Week this week with various talks and information. So today I'm going to talk for half an hour about the Level 2 Art and Design course. So I'm going to give you an idea of the course structure, how it's laid out, the phases that we work through, and show you some examples of our work. And of course, we would love you to visit our website. We have a current online exhibition on at the moment, so please visit that because you will see lots more examples of our wonderful students' work. Okay, so just going through to give you an idea. My name is Mrs. Rees. I'm the OCED Head of Art for Level 2 Art and Design. So I will oversee your 1 or 2 years on the course. And as an overview, it's this opportunity really as a stepping stone to do a Level 2 qualification, which would be equivalent to achieving a GCSE pass grade. And our qualification is accredited by a vocational awarding body, so you will actually receive a certificate, an accredited certificate for this course. So it's all coursework based and it is all assessed online. Our portfolios are produced in a digital format, as in you would produce your work, you would photograph it, you would then collate it into a digital document so that everything is collated in that format. Okay. So a great opportunity for a stepping stone to get into art and design. There are opportunities to progress on further, which we'll talk about later, because we have the OCAD Foundation, which a few of our students progress onto after the Level 2. So we've got the course structure, and basically we work through 2 phases for the entire course. So phase 1 is what we call the Confidence and Skills Builder portfolio. So there's a whole range of tasks there, and it's called the Confidence and Skills Builder because we are building your skills, your knowledge, your understanding through that phase. So it's a really important one. It's not one to be rushed through because the idea is it's getting you ready and prepared and confident for when you move on to phase 2, where you'll be more independent. So I'll show you a little bit more about phase 1 as well. Within that phase, there's also something called the additional tasks, because the criteria requires us for you to show that you are working safely. So we've got 3 small tasks there that will cover that and also get you working safely, because obviously we can't see you working online, so we want to give you information about how to work safely and implement that in your own practice. So that's phase 1. Phase 2 comes after you have passed phase 1, and this is where you produce your own final themed project. So by this point, because you have learned your skills, techniques, processes, and your way of working, when you get to phase 2, you can be more independent because you get to choose your title, you get to choose the way that you want to work, and really then expanding on your areas of expertise that you have brought through and learnt from phase 2. So all of that hard work in phase 1, working through different variations of tasks, will put you in a good place for phase 2 final themed project. And that's really where we see students really excel, expand, really go into their favourite areas of art. And if you look at our online exhibition at the moment, if you go to our website, you will see some fantastic work that has been produced. And what I find really important is the confidence that people have, built up over the course, their confidence in handling their media, their materials, their ideas, their understanding. Okay, so all of the phases that we do, everything we do on the course goes towards that final moderation at the end of your course when the examiner visits. The course is not graded. The exam board will only award a pass or a fail, okay? And hopefully it's all a pass. So although it is equivalent to a GCSE, you don't receive a grade through it, okay? So everything we do is part of that final assessment. So you can see that everything has equal importance going through the course. Please feel free, if there are any questions that pop up along the way, just post them into the chat. But hopefully I'm just covering the basics for you today and giving you a little bit of an idea how we work. So your study options. You could do the course, generally people would do the course over 2 years. This would be more like a part-time programme, available all year round, which I'll explain. And obviously we're taking students at any time of the year, so you can enrol at any time. The 1 year course, obviously, is still covering the same amount of work, but trying to squeeze it all into 1 year. This is why it's called the intensive course, because obviously it is more like a full-time programme, because you are trying to cover both of those phases in a shorter amount of time. Okay, so there's options to do the course over a 2-year programme, or trying to, if your circumstances need to, get it into 1 year, into the 1 year intensive full-time programme. Okay, now although you can start at any time of the year, the only thing you need to bear in mind is that the exam board moderator will only visit us in June each year, like they normally would do. So obviously this needs consideration as to when you think you would want to complete and aim to qualify by. So again, this is why when you start the course, we will have a chat about what your dates would be. Okay, so that is just the part that you just need to be aware of. Both course options need to cover phase 1, the additional tasks, and phase 2, which are required for the qualification. So the only difference depends on how quickly you are wanting to cover the course. So whether that be over 2 years or be on the intensive 1-year course. Obviously, students starting in September, like we've just had, will then be aiming to complete for June next year. So already you can see that's almost less than a year if they're getting in for next year's moderation. Okay. So the 2-year course part-time, this is a rough idea of what your timings would be. So, for example, students that may have started with us in September 2024, their first year would run from September 2024 to next year, September 2025. And in that year, they would be working on their phase 1 skills builder portfolio. And this is a range of tasks which we get you to work through. So they are designed to build your skills, your knowledge, your processes, your techniques, your range of media, all of the things that the examiner is looking for. The additional tasks at the same time, ideally we always say if you get those finished within that first year, it then leaves you free for the second year just to concentrate on your final themed project. So achieving that good solid phase 1 really gives you a good solid foundation for moving on independently when you get to phase 2. So then once your phase 1 and additional tasks are handed in, obviously you would hand in regularly through the course, which I will explain later, but you would want to get that phase 1 in within that first year. That would be great. So then year 2 would be working from September 2025 to then the 1st of June 2026, because you want to meet that moderation in June 2026. So the time is a little bit shorter, but because you've got your skills, your confidence, your knowledge, you know how you're working, you've designed your own project, you will work within that time, okay? So the phase 2, as it says there, this project is student-led. Obviously, you would discuss it with us, the tutors, just to make sure that we think that the project has some mileage and there is plenty of scope for doing your artwork and taking your own photographs and linking artists. But otherwise, it's pretty much independent. And you can then really expand on your areas of expertise. So over the 2-year course, phase 1 and additional tasks generally over that first year, and then phase 2 from that September to June. Obviously, if you join at different times of the year, your dates will be slightly different. And again, this is why we have what we call the private chat with the tutor, so we can work out which dates you would be working to, and obviously how that would affect which moderation you could aim for or would want to aim for. Okay. The other option is obviously the 1-year intensive. It is intensive, full-time course. So as an example, students that started in September 2024, they would be getting phase 1 skills builder and additional tasks in by February half term next year. So we always aim for before the February half term. So you can see already how much shorter the time is. And then on successful passing of phase 1 and additional tasks in February, you would then start your final themed project, which would then run from the February to the 1st of June. So you get an idea already how much quicker that intensive course is, but still covering the same work. So that's why it's important for you as a student to work out what would be best for you in your way of working and when you would want to complete for. So it's the same work, just over at that shorter span of time. We always say with the intensive that we need phase 1 in by the start of February half term. In order to give you enough time to complete phase 2 before that 1st of June deadline. 1st of June tends to be the deadline. Sometimes it might be a couple of days difference depending on where half term sits at the end of May. But 1st of June is what we always have as that deadline for moderation. Okay, so it gives you an overview of how quickly you are completing, whether you be, if I just go back on the 2-year, what we call more of a part-time course, or on the 1-year intensive course. Okay, so it's still has to cover the same phases of work. Okay, so phase 1, skills builder portfolio. So when you start the course, this is the phase that you would start with. So what we have on our Teams platform is we have different channels, and we have a dedicated phase 1 skills builder portfolio channel. In that channel, you have all of the different tasks, and with each of those tasks, there are lesson recordings. Sometimes there are resources. There is an assignment sheet, which will show you examples of students' work. So each task has information to go with that, okay, along with those recordings, and I will talk about where those recordings come from. So the aim of the phase 1 skills builder is really to build your skills, your knowledge, your understanding, your range of media, processes and techniques. We really want you to expand that range. The exam board is also looking for a good range. It is a really important phase. It is a combination of different tasks. Some of those tasks you may not have used particular media before. We use things like charcoal, pencil, we do some painting, we do mixed media, we do some photography, we do some sculpture. So it really sometimes pushes you a little bit out of your comfort area, but it's really builds your skills and your confidence. You have free live lessons which cover the phase 1 tasks. So they are twice a week during the term time. And if you're on the 2-year programme, you could work at the same pace because it takes a whole year for those recordings to cover phase 1 and the 3 additional tasks. If you're working on the intensive course, we already have recordings from those live lessons, so you can work quicker through those. You don't have to wait for the live lesson each week. So those are all recorded. So if you can't make a live lesson, because they're not compulsory, but you might prefer to work from the recordings afterwards, that's absolutely fine. So phase 1 is really about getting you ready, getting you prepared. Okay, so this phase must be completed before you can move on to phase 2. It's kind of like, right, we think you're ready, you've got a good, strong portfolio there, you've passed, let's move you on to the final themed project for phase 2. And again, phase 1 is included in that final upload to the exam board. So everything we do on the course goes towards that final certification. Here are some examples of work from our phase 1 portfolios. Again, please visit our website. You will see a whole range of examples of students' work and tasks that we do. So I've just put a small sample on these this morning. We do a range of tasks that look at tone. We look at tone with pencil, charcoal. We look at observation. Again, all of these skills building, because later in phase 2, you will also do a tonal section, you will do a colour section, you will do a mixed media section. So the idea is you're thinking, okay, I know how to do that. We learnt about that in phase 1. I know how to take a good set of photographs. I know how to set up my objects. I know what's going to make a strong composition. So some really lovely tonal studies there from our fantastic students on the level 2. We also look at artists. We look at Paul Cézanne for one task. There is another task where you choose your own artists. We look at mixed media. We look at colour theory. Again, here is just a small sample of some of our wonderful students' work. Lovely, beautiful colour work there. Oh. And we look at landscape, we look at portrait, we take our own photos, we look at a little bit of photography. So a whole range of these areas which you may not have experienced before, and that's quite normal. We have students join the course that have not that much experience of art, but they really want to learn about it and really increase and expand their knowledge and understanding and their use of media and materials, but really some beautiful work. We also think about how our photography can then impact and be used in our own artwork and making very unique compositions. So a whole range of skills, techniques, processes are covered in phase 1. Again, we look at Paul Cézanne. Some of these are from the idea of Paul Cézanne, other are still life, but some fantastic work. And all of this is putting them in a good place ready for phase 2. We look at a little bit of 3D. So again, how students interpret that. The lessons will give guidance as to how to run the task and what options there might be. So some really fantastic work being produced. The additional tasks are 3 health and safety tasks that we do. And because it's part of the criteria that the exam board is looking for, they want to see that you understand how to work safely and you've actually been applying that while working safely. So we take you through 3 tasks that will increase your understanding, know how to apply control measures, precautions to your work while you're working. So again, they are just to cover that area in order to be able to pass the course. So 3 small tasks. They each have a recording and an assignment sheet which will guide you through and should be fairly easy. So then we get on to phase 2. So once you've got a good strong phase 1 portfolio, and what you would do at the end of phase 1 is you would get all of your tasks that are all in their separate documents to begin with. You put them all together in one big digital document, and that is what we call your portfolio. So again, everything is collated into a digital document and presented to the examiner in that way. The work doesn't have to be digital. Don't confuse that. It's just that the presentation of putting your work into a portfolio is in a digital format, and we can support and help with that. So phase 2, this is to then think about expanding what you've learnt, applying what you've learnt so far. After phase 1, you'll know how to think about strong photographs to take for good compositions. You know how to use media. You know how to investigate artists. All of that now is put to good use for phase 2. It gives you the opportunity to direct your own project, because obviously phase 1, we give you those tasks to work through. This is where now you can choose your own title, think about how you want to work, and it's really about showing your strongest areas of art in this section. Okay, there are no live lessons for this stage, because the idea is you have learned all of this through phase 1. And also, everybody will be going in different directions. However, we still have a dedicated channel to phase 2 with information at each step, examples, notes, resources about what you would need to do at this stage. So it's a little bit of that help along the way. And you will still keep in contact with your tutor through the private chat to discuss and look at the work as it progresses. And again, phase 2, final theme project, that will create your second portfolio, which will again be submitted to the examiner at the end of your course. So phase 2, people really enjoy, because they're really looking forward to sometimes putting in new skills that they've learned through phase 1. They've discovered something that they never really knew that they were good at or knew that they liked, because they'd never tried it before. So they've discovered new skills that they can now use also. So final themed projects, some of our wonderful examples, and again, look at our exhibition online. You will see these along with more examples of our fantastic students' work. So these are some of the outcomes that have been produced. You can see how different they all are, because each individual student has picked their own title and thought about how they want to develop that project, the media and the way of working that they want to go through. So some really wonderful examples of different techniques, processes, and it's about the students really thinking about what they're strong at, how they want to develop their idea, thinking about their visual language, the concept that they have of these pieces. And all of these pieces have been produced through a whole portfolio for phase 2. We never just jump to a final piece. We want to be able to see and show the examiner all those stages in between, all those tests, trials, development, ideas, photographs, artist links, all of that which brought us to this outcome. So all of that is important, all that build up, all the testing, all the experimenting. Again, this will be shown in phase 1, how you develop ideas, how you produce a range of tests, how you connect ideas together, how you create something unique. So it all puts you in good stead for this phase 2. So lots of different techniques, lots of different ideas coming through. As I said, have a look at our website. We have some amazing work on there, different tasks, our exhibition currently, to give you an idea of the range that we do cover. Okay. So how we work with Tutor is when you set up when you start your course, we will set up for you what is called a private chat, which is here on the platform on Teams. That chat is between yourself and the tutor or tutors, but usually at least one tutor. Okay. This is your space to show your work to us, and it's just like us being in the classroom together. You're showing us work as it progresses along the way. We're giving you feedback, saying, oh, that's great, but let's try this. What about adding that? And it's this ongoing conversation. Your private chat is probably the most important part to connect you to that course. Because if we don't hear from you on the chat and you don't submit work, we can't give any feedback back to you. So our expectation is that we are getting regular updates from students at least once a week on the chat during the term time, keeping in touch, showing us what they're doing, how tasks are going, how things are progressing, asking if they get a bit stuck or if they can't find something. So it is that ongoing conversation and dialogue. And we really need students to connect to that, to make it happen and make it work. So when you upload work for checking, you would get a response. So we might say, oh, this task looks great. You just need to do this last step, or you just need to do a few more tests and experiments. Or we might say, yeah, that's brilliant. That's a pass. That can be uploaded into assignments. So that one's done and dusted. So the private chat is that main ongoing conversation between yourself and us, the tutors. So we really need you to be using that. We have the live lessons. They are free to the course. They happen twice a week, and they will go through each of those phase 1 tasks and the additional tasks. They will lay each task out for you step by step. So we do always advise either watching the live lesson, if that's what you would like to do, or if not, at least watching the recordings, because they show you clearly how to work through those different assignments, and they are there to help you. Okay. So that is the private chat. That is really important when you are on the course, keeping in contact with us. That's what we really like. We want to see what you're doing, where you're at, how you're progressing. Entry requirements, these are on our website. So they must meet the following criteria that is listed there. Obviously, the course is completely online. So, making sure good, strong internet connection, as well as basic art materials to complete the course. Art materials are not included as part of the course. Okay, so they would be for you to get. Accreditations, this is the exam board that we currently use. So you will receive, if you successfully pass, you will receive a fully recognised art and design qualification. And the exam registration fee is payable direct to the SEG Awards. Okay, that is something separate. So accreditations. Progression after level 2, some of our students progress onto our OCAD Foundation Diploma in Art and Design. So if you are successful in completing the level 2, you can certainly look to progress on applying to our OCAD Foundation Diploma in Art and Design for those of you that want to take your art journey even further. Okay. So that brings us to the end of today's presentation. I hope that has been useful for you. By all means, if you have any questions, please pop them into the chat now. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us for Open Week this week. There are still more talks to come, so please look out for those. And it would be wonderful to welcome you to our course. But otherwise, thank you for your time this morning, everybody. And thank you. Take care. Bye. Thank you. Thank you for joining. You are very welcome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye.